Welcome to the MSDW podcast. I'm Jason Gumpert, editor at MS Dynamics World. On this episode, I welcome Sam Bush. She is the partner marketing lead in North America at NetStock. She's also a consultant and the host of the Ambush On Air podcast. Sam and I will both be at the upcoming Resco Next event in Valencia, May 20th and 21st, where the technology needs of deskless workers will be front and center. Sam has really established herself in the Microsoft channel as a voice for thoughtful marketing and demand gen with a focus on impactful people-to-people campaigns and strategies. She also tells us on this episode about her focus on bringing B2B marketing to younger generations and the challenges and opportunities of that effort. And since MSDW is a media partner for the event, we thought this would be a good time to get together and talk about some of our plans. While we're each in Valencia, Sam will be hosting Ambush On Air live from the event. I'll be there presenting and covering the event as well. So here is our conversation about Resco Next. All right. Well, Sam, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to chat today.
Yeah, it should be fun. So I'm guessing a lot of our listeners probably have recognized your name or have maybe heard you before, but for those who haven't, can you just give a little intro?
Yeah, definitely. So those of you who I have not had the pleasure of meeting yet, I am Sam Bush. I am a B2B marketing leader focused on partner marketing, content strategy, and demand generation. Really have a passion for crafting really out-of-the-box campaigns and getting people to think outside of the traditional marketing playbook and kind of learn to market like people to people a little bit more, thrive on collaboration and big ideas and goofy engaging things, which you'll see if you see me at a speaking session or at a conference. I am not like the rest in some of the ways that I show up, and that's just what I like. So I have a podcast called Ambush On Air, and then I have some consulting clients under that umbrella. And then I work my full-time day job that I love at a company called NetStock as the partner marketing lead for North America right now.
All right, excellent. Yeah, so plenty to talk about and perhaps draw from. And I think the thing that you and I have in common for this conversation is we're both going to be at the Resco Next 2025 event that's coming up pretty soon after this airs, right?
Yep.
I think it's for both of us the first time we're going to be there, and we're sort of having this conversation to talk a little bit more about what you're going to be up to there and maybe trade a few notes beforehand. I could certainly use a bit of advice. But what are your thoughts overall looking at that event coming up?
Yeah, I'm so excited. About, October, whenever Community Summit was, Trevor on the Resco team, him and I were just chit-chatting, and I was like, please do a podcast with me. I think it'd be so cool. We had like 10 topics that we just brainstormed standing at a booth. And then both of us got into the chaos of life, right? Around the holidays, you're too busy to think about your passion. Instead, you're working and then doing holiday stuff. And then one day in January, he gives me a call and he's like, I've got a crazy idea, but it's probably not that crazy because you like that. And I was like, okay. He's like, do you want to do a live podcast? And I'm like, well, I haven't tried that yet. And he's like, but in Spain this summer. And I'm like, say less, Trevor, say less. So yes, first time at Resco Next. I am thrilled and honored to be asked as a speaker for this event that I was looking through some of the agenda that I've had access to. And it's really a powerhouse team of B2B and B2C power apps and power platform just all put together. And I think it's going to be a great event. It's a great location. I've been doing my research. I don't know about you, Jason, but I've been looking up like what extracurriculars I can do while I'm there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a world-class location. You definitely can't argue with that. Valencia is amazing. And I think Resco has a great history of picking great spots for their events. And also, it's my first year there. I certainly know the Resco team and sort of what their products and their approach is all about. And from what I know of your approach and your outlook on marketing, I think it's a great match in the sense that there's so many great stories and so many great sort of like real world based discussions to be had about how the technology sort of touches real life. And probably, I would hope anyway, from what I know of your approach, chances for you to hopefully encourage people to just tell better stories or present themselves to the world, their companies, brands to the world in a unique way.
Yeah, 100%. And then the other thing that just really always sticks out to me about Resco is they do a lot of the stuff that I train on and speak on, which is how to bring B2B software into the hands of younger generations and meet them where they're at. I do this whole bit about marketing to millennials, marketing to Gen Z, but something that I think and I really value in the Resco team is not just the way they show up in their marketing. It's fresh, it's bright, it's energizing, it's interesting, but they also take a really mobile first approach in their product and solutions. And then they're just so like innovative. So I'm interested when I'm on site to see if some of that generational tie that I am always kind of checking into and looking around, I'm interested to see if I can tell that by their customer base when I meet them in person. So that's one of my little activities I'm going to be doing behind the scenes is kind of peeping into that.
So you said you have perhaps Trevor joining you as a guest. Is there anything else about your session that you've planned so far?
Yeah. So him and I spent some time putting together a little overview of what we're going to talk about. And it really is just going to be like a Q&A between him and I kind of going back and forth together. But there are 3 takeaways that I want to tell you guys about now that you'll hear then that I think are really going to be the thing that's interesting about the session for not just marketers. This, I think, is going to be a great session for the business lead, the business owner, the person who wants to be a thought leader in their organization and is not sure how to yet. So my big 3 takeaways is my favorite thing to say, which is your B2B and B2C marketing playbook is dead. Traditional B2B marketing isn't cutting it anymore. So we're going to unpack some ideas on how to get bold and really stand out in your industry in ways that you're comfortable with, because everybody has kind of a different level of disruption that they're okay with personally and in their business. Then we're going to talk about how to stop talking about ourselves and start talking more about the solution to the problem and not the product that we're selling. Something that we see a lot, and Trevor and I both feel this way in how we look and hear from our ISV partners in the channel as well, is we're oftentimes saying, we have a supply chain solution. But what we're not saying often enough is here are the problems you're facing today, and here's how we solve them just from a process standpoint alone. So we're going to be talking about some ways to get creative in reframing your messaging overall. And then my personal fave, which is taking thought leadership and influencers and campaigns to really build a strategy that works for your business to drive maximum impact in pipeline and results. Not everybody is an influencer. Not everybody needs to be one, right? And not every campaign is going to be a 10 out of 10 every time. But there are small signals to look for and ways to start with thought leadership content that can take your business to the next level from a trust standpoint. So very, very excited to unpack those items.
Excellent. Yeah. And for an event that's from a company like Resco, which is a very international company, and in a location like Valencia, where people will be coming from lots of different places and different backgrounds, I'm particularly interested to see what kind of feedback you get from different people in the audience whose companies are based in very different approaches, you might say, or like you said, different levels of comfort with different kinds of messaging. I'm sure you've encountered that over time, right? People have really different approaches.
Definitely. I've been in a couple of different global organizations, and I do find it super interesting because like at NetStock, where I'm at right now, we've got a heavy presence in South Africa. We've got a heavy presence in Australia, and then in Europe around Germany and the UK. And all of us go to market so differently, essentially. But really, when you look at it, we're all doing the same stuff. It's just that all mixed together really brings this collaborative story of a global organization. I was just looking at a couple of things that our channel manager in Germany is posting right now because she's on the show floor. I think it's Logomat. And she's doing all of the tips and tricks and tactics that we talked about when she was here in January at Acumatica Summit here, which again, I said a bad word, but you know what I mean. I'm a Microsoft girl through and through, but sometimes we have other publishers come up.
It happens.
But yeah, so I think the learning from the global organization can be really interesting as well. So I'm looking forward to the Q&A time at the end of Trevor and I's session. to go into some detail on how they feel with some of the stuff we present.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned sort of telling the story as opposed to sort of talking about why your own company has something to offer or what you're trying to get across. And I think I said this earlier, but that's one of the things that I'm personally really excited about. I love from the sort of Resco product side, their outlook on things is really unique because they focus on very specific and very interesting technology, but they also support very interesting stories, or they enable them for their own partners to sort of turn into real solutions for clients. And it's across different industries with deskless workers, right? Which obviously exists in different scenarios. And that just lends itself to great stories and perhaps even makes it more relatable to, like you said, younger workers who perhaps don't always think first about sitting at a desk, working on a traditional enterprise application, or don't see themselves doing that forever, right?
Yeah. I know me, even just as an elder millennial, I try to find ways to get away from my computer. And luckily I'm in a role that requires some travel. So I do get, in and out of the office. But as this younger generation comes in and really the Gen Z and Gen Alpha and all of those young ones, they're going to need this more and more. So the success of Resco, I think, has been interesting to watch from afar. And I think it's only going to get bigger and better just based on how the world of work is changing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's right. It's kind of like right in that sweet spot that we should be paying attention to. And so, yeah, I mean, I hope to get a lot out of it. I think I'm presenting as well with Rick McCutcheon, and then I'll hopefully be doing some reporting as well to see sort of where the Resco roadmap is headed. And I'm always listening for stories too, kind of in a slightly different angle. But yeah, I think we're in agreement. It should be a pretty fun event. Anything else you wanted to mention to the listeners about either the show or what else you have kind of coming up here?
I think really for me, this show is going to be just a beautiful location, a beautiful spot, a lot of great minds coming together. I think a little advice from a road warrior like me is go to bed early the first night and then have yourself the time of your life the rest of it. These events can be really long. And if you aren't really focused in on them, you miss a lot of the collaboration and the one-on-one conversations over the cocktail at the end of the night that really make a lot of what an event like this matter and makes impact. So I encourage you to really focus in on the time spent with the conference people themselves. I know we're in a beautiful city, stay maybe a couple extra days or something, but really dedicate your time to meeting everybody on site and then all the content that Resco and team have put together. I think it's going to be pretty dang good.
All right, excellent. And Ambush on Air has really kind of kicked off for 2025, right? I know you've got a few episodes under your belt. Anything else that you have on the horizon there?
Yeah, I've got a couple coming out. I just did a recording this week with a friend at a AP BC partner all around this book that my friend wrote. So it's called The Revenue Engine by Kara Smith Brown. Look it up. She's focused on supply chain marketing, but the book applies to everybody. But we did a little book report because Kevin from Fidesic calls me and he's like, hey, this is the most I've ever learned from reading any book or listening to your podcast. So we kind of talk about the highs and lows of how some of the strategies in the book he applies to work. And within 3 months is seeing significant change in his pipeline. So finding these really impactful people and stories is what's been the lifeblood of Ambush on Air, and it's only continuing to grow. I am always looking for speakers. Right now, a lot of my speakers are marketers or sales leads. Right now, I'm looking for some executive oversight. So if you are a CEO, a CRO, a CMO, and you want to talk about your sales strategy or your concept around partnerships and growth, I would love, love, love to welcome you on and get your point of view heard and out in the community. So that's what I'm up to at Ambush. And then I just kicked off a new consulting client that is a VAR in the States, and we're already off to the races and having a blast. So it's going to be a great year in the world of Sam Bush, and Resco Next is another great step in that.
All right. Well, I look forward to seeing you there. Have a great show there. I'm going to try to catch the podcast episode. I know I'll be running all over the place for different sessions and interviews and whatnot. But thanks again for being here, Sam.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This has been great. I really enjoyed the chit chat, and I will see you in 2 months?
Less, yeah, pretty soon.
Yeah, wild.
This has been another episode of the MSDW podcast. My thanks once again to Sam Bush for joining me. And this message from Resco, you can check out the agenda and register at the Resco Next site. That's www.resco.net/next. And that's it for this episode. If you want to get in touch with me, you can reach me by email, jason@msdynamicsworld.com. For all of our updates, you can follow us on LinkedIn. Until next time, this is MS Dynamics World, signing off.